Everyone. Thank you for taking the time out of your day today to join this Ideate 15 at 15 session. My name is Kevin Vong and I'm a technical solution specialist working for Graitec. So for today, we'll be looking at how to duplicate Revit sheets with ease using Ideate Clone. Feel free to ask any questions in the chat and I'll try to answer them at the end of the presentation. This session would also be recorded so you can view it later. So this session is part of our 15 at 15 series on YouTube. Apart from today's topic, which is for Ideate Clone, we also have other videos on various other topics. You can check out the 15 at 15 training series by going to YouTube and navigating to the 15 at 15 recordings playlist. So the clone tool that we're going to cover today is part of the Ideate app suite, which essentially includes 10 productivity tools within Revit as part of the Revit plugin. So just a brief introduction into Ideate apps. Ideate apps focuses on common Revit tasks that improves workflow efficiencies. So highlighted here in red, you can see the clone tool here in the ribbon. And what the clone tool allows us to do is copy sheets from the sheets area in Revit and align them and also set specific copying rules to them when we clone them out. And just remember here that help is just a click away from within the software. You can reach our support team at support@ideate.com. Alternatively, you can click on the help button from the ribbon in the Ideate app section, or click on the question mark from the Ideate Explorer, where we have getting started guides and links to other help pages. Okay, so now let's take a look at Ideate Clone and how we can clone sheets from Revit directly. Okay, so here in my sample project, I have a sheet called A102 called Plans. And here I'm just activating the Ideate Clone tool from the ribbon. And this is the interface of the clone tool. Here, this is the existing sheet name, and I can rename the name of the clone here and then give it a new sheet name called plans-design revisions. And then in the viewport options here, I can decide to keep the original model coordinates of the views. And then for each view that is detecting from the target sheet, I can choose how I want to duplicate these views. So for the first two floor plans, I'm using duplicate. And then for the sections, I'm duplicating as a dependent. And then I just need to go ahead and click the green clone button, and that would clone the target sheet. All right, so it's just done that, and you can see in the project browser, it's now appearing as A104, plans-design revisions. So let's go through that again with the sheet A105, elevation/stair sections. So back in the ribbon, you click on clone. And here, again, we can give the clone a new name. So I'm going to call this option A this time. And I can then assign the views an option for making that duplicate. Okay, so I'm making them all a duplicate with detailing. And then I'm going to clone that again. And that's successfully cloned. You can see the sheet here, A106. And just to expand the sheets to look at the views inside, you can also see that under the sections area, it's also created the dependent views as well. Okay. And then in regards to the positioning of the views, if I create a side-by-side comparison here, you can see that it's kept the coordinates of the views of those cloned views. Okay. And now just one more thing I'd like to showcase in this webinar is the feature that we can use placeholder names. So I'm just creating a quick sheet list here in Revit, and then I'm going to add a data row to create a placeholder sheet. So let's just name this option B, for instance. And then with that placeholder created, when I go back to Ideate Clone now, instead of naming a sheet, I can pick from my placeholder list. So here, the name option B as a sheet, as a new sheet name, I can select. If we don't specify how we want to duplicate a view, it will just appear as a empty sheet. So we do need to pick how we want to duplicate if we want to include those to the cloned sheet. Okay. And then just one more thing, in Sheet Manager as well, there is a quick access clone button whenever we click on a sheet. So here you can see the clone button, and that takes us to the clone window. Okay, and then we can do the same type of selections we did before, and then click clone. And that will clone the sheet from the Sheet Manager. Okay, that concludes the demo for Ideate Clone. So before we wrap up the webinar, just a couple of action items before we end. First, you can take the survey in the webinar to find out how Ideate apps can help you with your Revit workflow. And second, we can download a trial of Ideate apps and give it a go. So go to ideatesoftware.com/download for more details. And I think that's pretty much it for today's webinar. I'm just going to check the chat now, and if I see any questions, I'm going to answer them and maybe hang about another 5-10 minutes to see if there's any more. I hope you enjoyed today's webinar, and thanks for attending. Thank you very much.